Hi, welcome to APTV. Today we're talking about this new Panasonic LUMIX S9. So LUMIX S9 is Panasonic's new compact full-frame L-mount camera that's designed for both video and stills for hybrid shooters who want to travel light. And it's got to be said, it's a nice small camera. Panasonic's very keen to say that this is actually even smaller than the Fujifilm X100VI, which is kind of the big buzz camera of the year so far. And actually, here's the X100VI, and it's smaller. So there's a problem with this. You can't use this with a lens cap on its own. You're gonna have to put a lens on it. And that's where things start to get more complicated. So this is the familiar Panasonic 20 to 60mm kit zoom, which the camera is going to be sold with initially. And as you can see, this isn't a big lens, but it's already starting to look a little bit bulky, a little bit front heavy on this small camera body. Now, to be fair, Panasonic says it's making a new lens for the camera. It's going to be an 18 to 40mm, really compact retracting zoom. The problem is it's not ready yet. And Panasonic only says it'll turn up sometime this year. And it'll cost around £500, so it won't be especially cheap. So there's another lens that you can use with the S9 because Panasonic has just announced a new 26mm pancake prime. And it's really tiny, it's less than an inch long. And this sounds great, except that it's an f8 fixed aperture and it's manual focus only. Now Panasonic says this lens is the kind of thing that will let you take pictures as if you were shooting with your smartphone. Same sort of angle of view, the same kind of extended depth of field. But then surely if that's the kind of picture you want to take, just use your smartphone. So anyway, let's talk about what the S9 II can do. So really, it's kind of a stripped down version of the S5II. It's got a similar 24 megapixel full frame sensor, has an ISO range of 100 to 102,400. It can shoot at 30 frames per second in full resolution. It's got 5-axis in-body image stabilization, which is good for 5 stops of shake reduction, or 6.5 stops if you put in an OIS lens. And it's also got a lot of very clever video features on board as well. So it's got the S5II 6K open gate video recording. The idea behind that is that you record the entire area of the sensor, and then you can crop it into any aspect ratio you need, either vertically or horizontally for social media or for standard YouTube. Now, to make this camera as small and affordable as possible, there are a few things that Panasonic has left out. And the most obvious of these is there's no viewfinder at all. You have to use the screen on the back to do all of your viewing and composition of your stills and your photos. There's also no mechanical shutter inside this. It's just purely an electronic shutter when you're taking photos. And another thing that's rather unusual is that the shoe on top has no contacts at all. There's no way of using flash with this camera. And I think that tells you quite a lot about who this is intended for. That is for putting a microphone on. So the camera is really much more for video than it is for photography, despite these Leica-esque looks. So this camera has also got some really nice video features all of its own. It's got a new MP4 Lite format, and this will record 4K open gate recording, then what is designed to be a very small file that's easy to transfer to your phone for editing. And this then works with Panasonic's new app that's specifically designed for this camera. And that is essentially designed as a video editor, that you don't ever need to get your computer out. You just put all of your footage across to your phone and edit it there. The app really is just for the S9 on its own, and it's centered around editing your videos and grading them using LUTs and then uploading them to social media. And Panasonic has brought the use of LUTs really to the front of this camera's operation. It's got its own button on the back to call up different LUT settings and change them. And you can download LUTs using the app and then transfer them across to your camera and use them for recording, or you can just use them to grade your footage on your phone. And the app is full of options to download them from your favorite creator. So let's talk a little bit about the camera design. I've got to say, I really like this. The two-tone body is beautiful. It's available in 4 colors, so as long as it's nice wine red, there's a dark green, there's a dark blue, and there's all black. And the whole thing feels kind of quite like it-ish. And it's also got echoes of the cult classic Micro Four Thirds GM1, although it's nowhere near as small. And it's sort of okay to use. I mean, there's no grip on it, and that's really not good. That means that you're always having the lens pull you forward. But there's quite a nice thumb hook here, which helps you keep your hand on the camera. You've got a nice clicky dial around the shutter button for changing settings. But then you've got a really horrible fiddly dial on the back, which kind of feels like it comes off a compact camera from about 20 years ago. It's really not much good to use. But you've also got Panasonic's excellent touchscreen interface, and that lets you get at most of the settings that you're going to need to change. So the S9, it's small, it's a rather nice looking little camera. The problem is that what's been left out, the emissions really define what it's good for and what it isn't. You can get away with not having a mechanical shutter if you've got an ultra fast stack sensor, like in a Nikon Z8 or a Sony A9 III, but this doesn't. And that means it's always going to be subject to problems with rolling shutter distortion, when you've got moving subjects, when you're trying to pan the camera. And it's going to have problems with flickering or under artificial light. And this is just going to give you problems for using it as a stills camera in certain conditions. And the lack of a viewfinder is a real problem as well. It means that in bright light, you're going to be struggling to see anything. And I took this out shooting in a really bright sunny day in London, and it was just guesswork. It was really difficult to see anything that was on the screen. And that's going to be a problem for stills and for video. And because you've not got a viewfinder, there's nothing you can do to get around it. And that's really the S9's big Achilles heel. And it is a problem, and it's something that will put off, I think, a lot of users. Even if you're a videographer, you've still got problems as well. You've only got a micro HDMI port here, and micro HDMI ports are horrible, they break, they just fall out. So you can't really easily put a recorder on top. It's just not a very pleasant way of working. And there's this idea that videographers never use viewfinders, but a lot do, and this camera isn't going to work for them. So there it is, that's the Panasonic S9. It's a nice little camera in many respects, but it's also got problems. And I think these are going to put off quite a few users. So does it look like a camera you might want to buy? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check to amateurphotographer.com for our full review.